Test, check. Right on. And we're back. Great to be here on Spaces again. Be cool to see everyone rolling in. See a couple of you already here. Daniel, Max, Axiom. Great to have you folks. I'm going to start off. I'm going to play a song. First half. We'll let people roll in. So while this is going on, make sure that you are sharing the space. Tag people if you feel like it. People know that that's happening. I've put a couple of messages into the Telegram group, so hopefully we get a few more people here. And the point of this space is to go into the staking fees, the dynamics of staking, how the system works with these fees, and also I want to have a Q&A at the very end or at any point here where you guys can come up, ask any questions you want about TORUS and Unity together. So let me just play a quick song here, and then we're going to get underway. Everyone, let's just jump in. We're going to get going here in just a second. Let a few more people roll in. Start. So make sure you're sharing the space. Make sure you're tagging a friend, and get your questions ready. We want to see what you guys can go. Sweet. All right, let's get going here. I'm excited for this one. It's been a hot minute since been on Spaces or on stream, or really doing too much social activity, which has been great, well needed, and also simultaneously getting a little sick. So if you hear me sniffling, I'm going to try not to, but yeah, that happened unfortunately. So it is what it is. But this space is going to be fantastic because I've been seeing, and I've laid out some of the stuff about, how TORUS and Unity and their staking mechanisms work, but I do want to just quickly pause, and before we get into the dynamics and the complex mechanics that are in these systems, I want to just quickly go over TORUS and Unity for anyone that listens to this after the fact or now live that doesn't exactly know what Unity or TORUS is or are. So TORUS and Unity are the same systems. Now, they're built on two different tokens, leveraging them, and also simultaneously burning these two tokens. So TORUS is built on top of Titan X, which lives on Ethereum. Unity lives on, or is built on top of PLSX, but is built on PulseChain. Now, both these systems are very different, but the simplest way to understand these two systems is to think of a company, right? Imagine you could go and buy shares in a company, but when you bought them, you had to lock them up for 88 days. And during that 88 days, you earned more shares. The money you used goes towards making the company more valuable over time. And once you are done with that 88-day lock, buying from the company, you can go ahead and lock them up again and again and again to continue to earn shares. Now, imagine now that every single day it gets harder to buy shares from the company and also gets harder to earn shares simultaneously. But it took more and more money to continue to buy or to lock these shares up over time. This is TORUS and Unity in a nutshell. It's a company that essentially continues to allow you to earn more shares in the company over time. And every time you put $1 in order to buy and lock or just relock your shares, you are putting that money into the company, which it uses to increase its own value over time. And because this company is leveraging another company, per se, that is also designed, to reduce the availability of its shares, let's say, and to become much more scarce over time, this causes a very highly leveraged scenario where these companies that we're talking about here with TORUS and Unity have the potential to do a whole lot of X's in the future just with their leverage position on top of, in this case, Titan X for TORUS and PLSX for Unity. And that's really as simple as it is. But if you want to understand more of this, obviously there's a whole lot to it, as you who are in here that have been studying and playing with and participating in TORUS and Unity, there's a lot to it. So while it sounds simple on the surface, it is, and simultaneously there's a lot to learn. So take it slow, come up and ask questions. At any point in this space, if anyone has questions or anyone wants to chat about something specific, please come up. I am going to do my best to get through the staking fees and the dynamics for this specific space before we get too into left field with if anything else comes up. But if you have something relevant to staking, I am going to definitely entertain those questions while I'm going on my little, we'll call it TED Talk. So what I'm about to talk about here, when it comes to the staking fees and the dynamics that staking fees create, are relevant for both TORUS and for Unity. For simplicity's sake, I am only going to refer to TORUS mainly, just because there's a lot coming up with TORUS right now since it is so much lower in its staking mechanism, we could call it. And the dynamics are really starting to show themselves at TORUS. But this does apply exactly to Unity. The numbers are going to work out a little bit different because in TORUS, there's a median ratio that started with TORUS to Titan X, which was 10 million Titan X to 1 TORUS. But we're going to have a slightly different ratio for Unity, which is 100,000 PLSX and 1 Unity. So instead of going back and forth on those numbers always, I'm going to stick to TORUS, but just remember that everything I'm talking about still applies to TORUS as it does Unity and Unity as it does TORUS, okay? So let's get into it. Now, like I mentioned in the example here with TORUS and Unity, there's this example of the company where if you wanted to participate in the company, you want to buy shares, you must lock them up. And while you lock up, you earn more shares. But once you've completed that initial lockup, and that's called creation in TORUS and Unity, where you are creating tokens up front by depositing funds into the system, and you're going to earn more TORUS or Unity over that initial 88-day period. And then once you've completed that, you can then go ahead and lock up your TORUS or Unity. In this case, we'll just say TORUS. In this case, for up to another 88 days. Now, typically though, as many of you are quite familiar with in this space, staking is a form of locking up to earn your tokens. And usually it's just you stake it. Maybe there's like a few days unlock that you have to wait once you click the unlock button, or you can lock up to like 15 years, right? But there's no costs other than the staking, the gas fees, so to speak, for the transaction itself. And TORUS and Unity both flip that script. And this is where things get confusing simultaneously. So when it comes to the staking in TORUS and Unity, you must pay 5% of the relative creation cost as a staking fee. Now, at first listen, you might think, okay, so if I stake $1,000, I'm going to pay $50 in staking fees, right? Well, at a certain moment in time, when all the stars are aligning, yes, that would be true. But it's not a USD value staking fee. So in order to understand the staking fees, we must look at creation. So if you want to follow along with me here, I'm going to go to torus.win and I'm going to go to the DApp and we're going to go to the earn page under create. So in the system for creation, there is a day one difficulty per se, where when you deposit 10 billion Titan X over 88 days, you are going to create 1,000 TORUS. Okay. Now, if you look at the page now, you're seeing create, you're seeing the standard deposit is 10 billion that shows up here, and you're seeing the number of created TORUS, which is 937.17. So this means the difficulty of creating and even earning in the system has gone up. Now, all these numbers are going to be the same, just different ratios for Unity. And because it's at a different phase, TORUS is at day 82, Unity is at day 43. So they're going to be a little bit different here. But if we look at the creation ratios again, so what this means is on 88 days, 10 billion Titan X deposited only creates 937.17 TORUS, which means this is now our baseline to look at staking TORUS. Okay. So this 5% fee we can now relate. So if I want to go ahead and I click the stake button right next to create, and I want to stake 937.17 TORUS, right? It's going to cost 5% of what it would cost to create that 937.17 TORUS. Remember, if we go back to creation, we can see it's 10 billion tokens deposited to create up front before you're earning 937.17 tokens. So now if we stake, we can see that 937.17 tokens that we're trying to stake here, because this is the auto-populated amount that's designed to do that. It's, instead of 10 billion, it's only 500 million you need to deposit when you're trying to stake 937.17 TORUS. And this is the 5% fee. Now, this is where things get interesting, because if you look at the deposit token value or token amounts, it says one thing. Now, if we look at the cost, which is below the token amounts, you're going to see something quite interesting. Below the 500 million deposit amount, you're going to see TitanX and its value, which is $72. And you're going to see the value of 937.17 TORUS is 107.21 TORUS. This means that you're paying 70% roughly for the staking fee right now to stake $107 in TORUS. Why is this the case? Now, this is extremely important to understand, because this is a feature, not a bug. This is exactly how TORUS was designed. So this means that as the price of TORUS, which is currently just over 11 cents, I believe it's 11.44, as the price of TORUS decreases, a few things are happening in the background, right? You have, obviously, the value of TORUS, meaning the value of people's holdings are going down. And you also have the TORUS pool that we need to look at. Again, just a reminder, everything we're talking about applies to Unity here as well. So today's payout on day 83, or day 82 as this ticks over to the end of the day here, there's going to be 93,837 TORUS that are going to be distributed to everyone that is staking or creating in the system. But those 93,837 TORUS have a value of $10,734 currently, right? And so the lower that the TORUS price goes, or the higher the price goes, this value will change. And because the TORUS price is so low right now, the dollar value of the payout pool is actually quite low, which means, and hold on for a sec while I just sniffle. Apologies, folks. There's going to be a few of that during this space. But as the price of TORUS decreases or increases, so does the value of that payout. And what happens is, over time, the amount that people are earning collectively over the 88 days is going to be lower, obviously, as the price of TORUS goes or stays lower. So what does this mean? This means that when TORUS goes lower in price and TitanX stays at a given ratio, that 500 million TitanX doesn't change in its value, but the TORUS decreases, meaning the percentage of funds coming in for value earned in the system is changing in ratio in favor of the TitanX or the ETH that's coming in, meaning the system is bringing in more economic energy relative to what it is giving out for the users at the time. Does this make sense? I'm going to pause here and I'm going to wait for a few reactions or emojis or some kind of sign that this is clicking here, because this is so critical to understand. And I guess to make this easier as well, when we are at this median ratio we talked about in the initial stages of this conversation, where we're around 10 million to 1, what happens, okay, great, I'm seeing some thumbs up. So what happens here is when we're at that ratio, creation and staking are similar ROIs, if not identical. And this means that when we are at this ratio, the USD value is actually going to seem around 5%. So if you have $1,000, whatever that amount of Unity is at the time, if we're at that median ratio, you're going to be paying about $50 for a staking fee. But as TORUS decreases, right, that staking fee, let's say it's 500 million TitanX and it's worth $50. Let's say Unity or TORUS, goes down 50%. Now it's $500 in TORUS that you're trying to stake, but you still have to pay 500 million TitanX, which is still worth $50. Now it's 10%. Let's say it goes down 90%, right? So now you're trying to stake $100 in TORUS or Unity, and your creation or your staking fee is still $50. Now it's 50%, right? So what this means is right now TORUS is having its system pressed into in the elastic band, the catapult be stretched out, where now very few people are going to be in profit if the price goes lower. And the required amount of TitanX, in this case, or ETH, is increasing per TORUS coming into the system to be staked. And what this does is this creates the effect where now there's only so much damage that can be done price-wise for people selling versus when people come in and stake. And this is designed in this way. So the deeper the price goes, the more that must be paid to the system in order to help revive the system. And if people decide at some point, well, you know what, I don't really want to stake because I don't want to pay $100 in staking fees to stake $150 of TORUS, well, that's fine, and people are going to do that, but the ROI is going to start creeping up, right? The staking ROI is going to creep up higher and higher and higher until it's going to become way too juicy for people to ignore. And then people are going to start coming in and depositing funds and staking their TORUS. And as they're doing this, if they're buying, this is going to push the price up. If they're not doing anything because they're waiting, well, the buy and burn is going to be able to do whatever it needs to do. And so this creates a scenario where we essentially are hitting like a wall, so to speak, especially because if we look at liquidity right now, liquidity is sitting at 47,000, meaning there's $23,000 in TitanX and $23,000 in TORUS, meaning if you sell $230 worth into the pool, you're going to impact the price pretty significantly here, which also means if the buy and burn uses $23,000 in TitanX to buy up the price will 4x. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here into liquidity, but just know that because buy pressure works on an exponential scale, as does sell pressure, when the amount of TitanX in this pool doubles, in this case, the price of the price of TORUS will 4x, meaning the price can return to about 46 cents with only $23,000 in buy pressure. Think about that for a moment. $23,000 in buy pressure. If we go look at what is in the buy and process contract at the moment, let's go take a look right now. And as well, if anyone has questions about this or wants to go into specifics here, please come on up. Would love to have your questions. Please just request the microphone. So currently right now, remember, $23,000, 4x is the price, brings us back to 46 cents. We have $260,000 in ETH and $346,000 in TitanX. So what does that mean for the price? Well, this means a whole lot of things. One, it's not going to take long. Currently, 1% of that is about $5,000 a day, and that's being spent, $4,000 to $5,000 a day. That's being spent at the minimum settings, right? So what happens when, not if, but when these percentages get turned up? Well, this is going to move the price pretty quickly. What happens simultaneously if the price moves very quickly and then liquidity starts getting thicker and thicker and thicker at these levels? The price becomes more sustainable. And now it doesn't take as much of selling your bag, if that's what you're doing, to gain the amount of TitanX that you need to stake. Simultaneously, the ROIs are increasing as the price goes up. And this is the feedback loop that we see, one of many, many, many in the TORUS system. So again, there is $606,000 in the buy and burns, and only $23,000 buy pressure will 4x the price. Let that sink in for a moment. And then we're going to go back to these staking mechanics again, because there's a lot here. So I've talked about this in the past, and this is, and actually, before we get there, I'm going to talk about something else. So at these prices, if we look at how much actual buy pressure we have, we can't just look at the total number in the buy and burn and buy and build, because only 50% of the buy and builds allocations of the amounts that they have actually are buy pressure on Torus, because 50% of the number that's being used is buying Torus. The other 50% is holding in TitanX, and the total amount is added to the liquidity pool, right? So this is important to understand here. So we have basically $170,000, which is about $85,000 plus 112. So we're sitting at about 100, and we'll call it $200,000 there. So about $334,000, $335,000 in buy pressure for this ecosystem. So now, if we were to look at, let's say, $334,000 divided by the current price, which is 0.1144, this means we could burn 2.9 million tokens at these prices. In the next few days, we are sitting at, we're about to go into day 83. So, actually, are we about to go 83? Am I confused here? Yeah, we're about to go into day 83, which means there's going to be approximately 108,000 tokens coming out. So, if we look at the next 6 days, because that's when we're going to get to day 89, when 1.58 million tokens are going to be unlocked, we are going to be sitting at, I think, about 2.2 million tokens, which means we can burn into day 90 every token that is sold on the market and then some, which is pretty crazy. And this is before staking fees come in. This is assuming every single person sells. And we know how imaginary horribles and edge cases go in the space. They don't happen. And if they do happen, not for long. So let's go and take a look now at what's been happening with the staking and the burning as well. So in the last number of days, we've gone from just over 100,000 Torus, I think last week, to now 186,000 Torus that have been burned. And remember, this is on the lowest settings possible. In the last couple of weeks, we've gone from 224 billion TitanX burned to 239.17 billion TitanX burned. And so even though prices are low, it doesn't seem like a whole lot's happening right now. We've had another basically 16 billion TitanX that have been burned in the last few weeks just from staking. Over time, these staking fees get more and more difficult. And so to stake more and more Torus, you must bring in more and more TitanX. So this means that more and more TitanX are going to be burned, more scarcity with possible demand in the future is going to have a very interesting effect on both TitanX and Torus. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to start inviting some of you up just to see if anyone has anything they want to add, ask, anything. And let's see here. Great. So I've sent a few invites. If anyone actually wants to come up, please do come on up. Or what you can do is you can actually go ahead and you can ask your questions below this this space as well. And Mr. Justin French has some great charts if anyone wants to go check those out. It shows the coin cost increasing over time. It also shows the daily tokens minted over the first 365 days, which declines rapidly. And so while things are seeming slow at the moment and the price is down to 11 cents, we're about to enter day 89 very, very quickly in the next week. And my sense is things are not going to be as everyone thinks they are. And, you know, I see a lot of people online, not a lot of people, but a handful of people, making some interesting commentary with the old "I told you so" dunks. And I've said this from the beginning. TORUS and UNITY are designed to change the precedents that people are used to. What do I mean by that? Well, I can't tell you everything. I'm not going to. I don't want to. But what are some of the trends that people feel? Oftentimes they feel that the buy and burn is not being used. They feel they've gotten burned. They feel that they've gone from patience to torture. They feel like the things that go long term, they were better to just get in short, not stay in long term, right? TORUS and UNITY are designed to undermine those paradigms, those old paradigms, to change that. And we want to make this clear because this is my intention. I don't want people are going to find out one way or another what's going to happen with these protocols. And that's not my job to make everyone understand what's going on here. Not everyone can be early. Not everyone can see. Not everyone can read between the lines. Some people are going to make moves that they might regret. We'll see what happens. So let's move over to Unity now. And actually, before we go to Unity, let's talk about some of the stats that we're seeing in TORUS as well. So TORUS is seeing a nice steady stream of staking that has happened since day 50. We've moved from just a couple hundred or a few hundred stakes to now 583 total stakes. If we look at the amount of staking that's happening, basically everything that's coming out for the most part is being staked. Basically everything. There's only 44,000 of all the tokens that have come out, which there's been basically not too far off a million. About 800,000 tokens have come out now. It looks like, just up a rough guess. We have 26% of all the tokens that have come out have been burned. 38.6% of all TORUS has been staked. 28%, almost 29% is an LP, and only 6.2% is actually liquid, which is really cool because it's showing that people are either staking and they're selling, and the buy and burn is getting to their tokens. That's it. And there's so much supply in LP, there's so much being burned that there's nothing. People are making actions, which is great. People are using the system, which I love to see. And even though people are coming in, they're selling and they're leaving, it's fine because at these prices, like the amount of burn that's going to happen, that's going to have major effects on the future. Think about it like this. When people are selling at these prices, they're not just selling tokens. They're selling shares. And if we were to go and measure the amount of created tokens versus the amount of tokens people are selling right now on the market and that are being bought and burned, we may never see these tokens again. This may put a major dent into the supply. So there is some benefit there's major benefit, not some, sorry, there's major benefit to having these prices be this low. Because one of the things that I saw people talk about in the beginning that I saw come up recently as well, which is, well, if you just wait for day 89, you're going to be able to get all the tokens you want because it's like all other protocols before it. These protocols dump and then you can just buy up and get all the tokens you want. You get way more than you ever could have had by going in the system early. And here we are, the prices are low. And guess what? If you are buying with $230, you're going to see significant slippage. So if you wanted to come in early and put in, let's say, multiple thousands of dollars, let's say you had $23,000 of Titan X or ETH that you wanted to come in and buy with. On day one, you would have seen a significant amount of TORUS that you had created with and then earned. But you would not be able to buy that because $23,000 is going to cause you significant slippage. You're going to 4x the price, and there's no way you're going to be able to get the amount of tokens that you think you're going to get by waiting. The people that are going to hold the shares and that do hold the shares far more than anyone could ever buy on the market is via creating and staking. That's the only way. If you think that coming into the system, waiting late and just buying on the market is the most advantageous way to do it, sure, yeah, you could buy at a discount, but you will not get the same amount of tokens that you could have gotten by going in early and creating or staking. It's impossible. The liquidity will not allow it. It is too thin, and it has been maintained in that way And we're seeing a lot of interesting effects because of it. So I'll pause there. Martin, what's up? Welcome. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Good to hear you.
Okay, so you cannot say it, but maybe I can say it. So basically, I expect that the price of Unity and Torus on day 89 will be like the lowest price, because when people start staking with the huge staking fee, they will add to the buy and burn, and the price keeps rising. Of course, I don't know if this will happen like instantly, or probably this will happen in some increments over a few days, because later days of creations will finish. So all those I don't know, created within the first 20 days. Some of those people will try to sell, and others will try to stake their tokens. So even if they try to sell, and even if they stake them, this will all create buy pressure for the Torus Unity price to go up. Is that correct?
Somewhat, yes. So basically, there's no obviously guarantee that we're going to go down on day 89. Obviously, likelihood, probably, right? I mean, more tokens coming out, yada, yada, yada. But at these prices, it's an interesting decision to sell into such a small liquidity pool unless you're just trying to get out, right? But yes, as the price goes down and people are still staking, the fees continue to go up in favor of the system's ability to support itself. Which, in a nutshell, is that what you're asking more so?
Yes, that's my point. But I'm curious because even when I started my creations, I didn't realize how much money I would need for staking fee. And I've created a lot of tokens, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I will not have enough money for staking fee, because huge amount of tokens, and that will require huge amount of staking fees. So I expect that some people will like try to wait it out. For example, they cannot afford staking fee. They will not want to lose their tokens for cheap price. So they will just hold it in their wallets for waiting for the price of staking fee to go lower.
Yeah. And that's a very viable way to do things. I mean, the whole system is designed for people to work with the system, not against it. And right now, if you do have a large number of tokens and you're trying to stake them all at once, you're kind of fighting the system, right? So patience may be a great option. Just waiting it out. And simultaneously, what this means here is, if in the future the staking fees are quite expensive and people aren't wanting to stake as much, the way the system works is relative. It's not as though if everyone isn't able to afford the staking fees, that everyone loses out. No, there's so many tokens distributed daily, and if everyone decides to only put one token in, you're still going to get effectively, relatively, the same amount of yield that you would have had if you staked all of your tokens versus just the one. But this is obviously a collective thing, and this is a little bit of a weird thing to say, so hopefully it's not super confusing. But this is important to understand, is that if people collectively are not able to stake, and everyone's able to, let's say, only stake 10% of their stack versus in the extreme, versus 100% of their stack. And everyone's doing that. Well, everyone's still going to earn the same amount, right? Because there is only so many shares in the pool, and there's only so many tokens, right? So if the number of shares is increasing or decreasing, the same number of tokens is distributed. So this is something interesting to think about into the future as well, where maybe everyone isn't staking all of their tokens, and people are still earning tremendous yield. And what this does actually is this actually helps the ROI seem higher, which is attractive for newer participants as well. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics here at play that can happen over time. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I like this. I like this aspect of strategizing about different options with Unity and Torus very much. So I like to talk about it a lot, especially on Telegram. But so like basic approach would be to wait for people to stake, for other people to stake. So those who end early, those who end their creations on day 88 on earlier hours, they would have to pay higher staking fees. And after, I don't know, let's say a day, it would be good just to put some amount of my created tokens if I cannot afford full staking fee, because even there I can still earn from the same amount of pool from the same pool. So even if the amount I stake is less and everybody cannot stake everything, then I still get decent amount of daily payout, right?
That'd be correct. Yeah, and you could. It's kind of like dollar cost averaging in the staking. You can think of it like that.
Okay, so one more question. For staking fee, I need to know creation cost. So creation cost is based on Torus versus TitanX and Unity versus PulseX. So basically, all I need to know is the current ratio, floor ratio on the current day, and then I can take 5% of this in TitanX or PulseX, and this will be my staking fee. That's all I need to know, because I'm not talking about USD value, because actually I don't need to know USD value, and I cannot predict USD value, for example, for Unity for the next 60 days or whatever we have left there. But I just need floor ratio, and then I can take 5% of this floor ratio, because the floor ratio decides about the cost of creation, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to go to the DApp even. You just have your ratio all charted up in your Excel or Sheets or whatever you're using, and you can know on the day exactly how much it's going to cost you to stake the number of tokens you have, or over time. You'll be able to see that and track that.
Okay, so I'll make some Excel and I will post it on both Telegrams, so people can see how much fee they will have to pay, because it's very good to know earlier how much at least TitanX and PulseX, and they can calculate USD value of those on their own. So we just need this, and that's all I need. So yeah, thank you. That's all I
Of
have.
course. Yeah, thanks for the great questions as always, and appreciate you being in chat and hanging out, with all of us as much as you do, and for sharing all the insights in your data that you always do. So appreciate you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much. When I like something, I like something, so I try to do my best to make everybody happy, and so they can understand it too. So, and I appreciate that you take a lot of time to explain all those things. So thanks again.
Yeah, literally anytime, and thank you as well. And Max, I see you up here. Welcome. Good to have you again.
Thank you very much. How do I sound? Do I sound like iffy, or is it all
Loud and
right?
clear,
Clear.
loud
All
and
right,
clear.
perfect. Hey, good to hear everybody. Good to hear everybody. Wanted to say hey. Wanted to say hey. And yes, I've thought about this question, and I've been in the Telegram listening to, well, reading, I guess, everybody's options and what they thought. Um, I don't know if this makes sense how I decided to do it. Anybody want to chime in? Let me know. Martin, the way I went with it was, like you, I have a lot of tokens about to come out when creates are over. I laddered out. Prices down relative to staking, I figured that'd be a lot. Maybe I'll just hold those tokens. And while the prices are this low, maybe I'll buy the matching amount of tokens off market that I actually created. Not that I am earning, that I'm creating, and capture those shares now in the staking pool. So while everybody's exiting and deciding what they're going to do when their creates come because of the fee, I already have my shares going back the other way, and I'll just hold all the tokens that come out, but still enjoy the same percentage of the pool that I've always enjoyed. Does that make any kind of sense?
It does to me, and I would have to say I would want to hear others because obviously, as the guy that built it, strategically, I want to be careful suggesting too much stuff.
Oh, I know. I felt that. I felt more like Martin maybe had an idea since he was thinking about what he was going to do with his shares or anybody there. I hear them all in the Telegram, so I was just saying that was my idea. I know you can't share too much. I was just saying that's what I thought. But
I just want to say that, yeah, I cannot buy any more Unity. I'm fully deployed on creation, and I started my staking way too late, but I have a ladder, so I expect that over time I will have something to end on each day, and then I will decide what to do with it. So if the price will be right, I can sell it, and maybe one day I can sell it for staking fee, and the next day I will have my Unity from ended creation. So it's I understand that this is like dollar cost averaging because you can buy cheaper now and overall you will have better, but yeah, I don't have any more money. If you have any job for me online, I will take anything. I need more money to put into Unity because I'm such a huge believer that this thing will basically Unity and Torus will change my life, and I expect it to happen next year. So I really want to go big.
Yeah, you're an all-star, man. Both of you guys are. It's one thing I can say. It's really interesting to see how many different types of strategies there are and what their effects. So it's going to be really cool to watch because there's been some people users, that have been coming out that are seemingly, they're willing to sell at these prices, which I find very fascinating. What's your guys' take on the selling that's been going on right now? Because we're right around break-even point right now. Actually, I think we're a little below. So I'd be curious to hear from you guys what you're thinking and why, what you're making of the price action right now and how you're feeling about everything.
hey, I could answer that as in what I'm thinking of right now because I'm in that situation. Uh, So I don't know if you remember the conversation that we first had on here, but I I did an early stake or an early create, and then I turned around and made an 88-day stake to match them because I didn't know how the early stake would turn out. The early stake or the early create, sorry, is the only thing I'm down in, other than my very last create. Everything else is up still. But the staking fees that Martin's talking about, the price dip, I'm trying to decide if I would hold that create when it comes out shortly, or if it's within 60 to $100 in loss, would I sell it to hold for staking fees or buying lower? That's where I'm at on that. They might be on the same thing. I'm not fond of selling at a loss, but there would be a point where it's close enough to break even that I could use the cash in the system without having to bring anything else in. If that makes sense.
Definitely does. Yeah. The biggest thing I'm trying to echo to people is just like have some patience, and I don't mean that in like a condescending, just like be patient, guys. But I mean that in just like, when we get around to 89, things can change quite quickly. And I mean, they can change quickly at any point too. And because of the nature of this system, again, me saying patience is key here because 0.08% daily is a very small decrease. And so if you have to wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 days, you're seeing a very small, let's say, loss in the number of potential tokens that you can still earn into the future, right? And so with everything that's in the buy and burn, there's patience can really pay off, and by not selling or by not staking, you still have your shares. They still have the same capacity. And yes, staking them goes up every day slightly, simultaneously. But because it is so incremental and because liquidity is so thin right now, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think patience is going to be very important over this next while. And seeing people selling right now is, because there are a few, it's interesting to watch. So I know I'm kind of going around. I can't really obviously say too much on what your strategy is like or anything like that. Just kind of, Martin, if you want to chime in on that, you can go for it.
Yes, so I made this mistake too, because when I entered it, I was like, okay, so we will have price to go up, like initial pump, then we will have some dump, like on every meme coin with bots and sniper, and then the price will go up. And the price, nope, the price keeps going down. And of course, it took me some learning, reading. I watched and listened to several of your videos like non-stop on repeat until I got it. Finally, I think I got it. And I didn't expect, because I am dealing with it like, okay, Martin, I must change my way of thinking. Yes, my early day creations, I am mostly in Unity, so I expected that I will be way below my break-even price because I didn't expect so many people to be impatient. So I expect that a lot of people will sell their tokens, both on Torus and Unity, but mostly on Unity, because Unity is like way ahead of Torus when it comes on everything. So I expect like a lot of selling, and people will sell with a loss, sometimes even with a huge loss. Even recently I'm in few groups on PulseChain, and even recently I was hearing this situation where people invested, for example, $100 in some token, and the token was hacked. They lost all their money, but the creators relaunched again on PulseChain, and they airdropped those tokens from initial investments to the people. And they after relaunch, the price of those tokens would not worth like $100, but only $5. And people didn't want to wait for this new relaunch to actually go up in price. They sold for $5 because they wanted $5 back from their initial investment of 100, because they didn't want to wait longer. They just take whatever they can, and that's it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like 95% of loss. Just give it a time. This is a new relaunch. And I expect the same will be with Unity and Torus, unfortunately, because as we can see on the chats, there are plenty of people who didn't expect this kind of system. They didn't expect the price to go so low. So even if they break even or they on a small loss, they will definitely sell. Like if they invested, for example, $200, they see now they have $50 they can get from the market, and they will sell for that $50. So this is my expectation, that more people than I anticipated to sell will actually sell. And I'm happy, because I just want more money to scoop all those cheap Unity tokens, and I am going for big share ownership. So I'd like to have more money. Like I'm saying, I need more money. I'm looking at what I can sell, so I can buy more those Unity tokens. So this is my thoughts about the price.
It is interesting to see how willing people are to sell at a loss, if something just to get out. And yeah, it's going this low is interesting, because what does it signify? It signifies that, a lot of people are happy to get a little bit of profit. At least to me. It shows that right now people are hungry for profit. I mean, go look at Unity, for example. We had one guy come in and he had 50% profit on a short stake, and he just dumped the living hell out of it, right? Instantly, boom, gone. And so this, to me at least, par for the course at this point. But, things go down for a while, and this is, we're pushing the envelope of what the elastic is going to want to do, so to speak, for the TORUS price. And what's interesting too is that if we go look at Unity right now, or actually speaking of TORUS, we're up now to 14 cents because we had someone just come in and purchase $2,950 worth about 19 minutes ago. And before that, we had someone come in with a $372 purchase, right? So you can see now we're going sideways, right? So we're trying to create another floor here. Now we did this at about $1.50, but there's a lot of sell pressure that came out, or tokens that came out. I think a lot of people were in profit. So this goes to show you that there are people that are willing to buy at these prices. And if the prices go lower, we know there's a lot of people that are waiting for that as well. So going to what you're saying about people selling at a loss, it is unfortunate. It's going to happen. But one person's loss is another gain in this space, unfortunately. And even with TORUS and Unity, those zero-sum games do exist. I tried to make it as least zero-sum game as possible, but there's some inevitability to that, unfortunately. And, with prices being down here, like I said, the chart is designed to look like a sine wave. So crest up, comes around, goes down, crests back up, goes around, goes down. And this initial cycle is going to be the most volatile. Why? Because obviously, like we've talked about, there's people that are going to come in, they're going to take a profit, they're going to leave, they're going to dump the price, they're going to sell everything and get out, or sell a bunch and get out. And this is a time where these types of people are going to be much more rampant in the future, because let's look at this. People that have gone back into the system with the second stake, with the second creation, those are people that are converting for the longer term, even if it's for 1 or 2 extra cycles, right? They're going into the system for the longer term. And so as this pattern increases over time and more people are deciding to go into the system relative to the sellers that are there, then what we're likely to see is these massive volatile swings start to compress, right? And so we might see a massive spike like we saw in the beginning. We did see a massive spike like we did in the beginning, going up to $12. Then we see us go down to 12 cents. And then we might see ourselves work our way back up slowly to the median ratio. And we might cross into creation and then come down. And then, we might start to see less and less of an oscillation, or volatile oscillation, so to speak. And this is going to be because those guys who are thinking, I'll just sell at a loss to just get out, there's going to be less and less of those people over time. And so we're going to see more of a compressed chart, so to speak, is my expectation. That might take time. It might look different, but inevitably and eventually we're going to reach there at some point. But my question is, how soon do we reach that? The buy and burn and the buy and build are going to play a very large role in doing that as well. And, maybe one of the things that people could look at is maybe now's not the time for staking, but maybe now's the time for accumulating shares. I don't know. It's possible, because the price right now is so low that you're able to effectively get TORUS at a level that would take basically 100 million to 1, or a little over 100 million to 1, tight next to TORUS for creation, the advantage in shares that you can get. So this is what you're able to buy here. So for anyone that's thinking about selling at a loss, you can do whatever you want. And simultaneously, I would encourage you to really think about the levels that we're at and what this means for the future, and how this system is set up at the moment. I really want to echo this sine wave movement that this chart is likely to make. It's going to be really cool to see what happens. Like I said, when the buy and burn starts operating, maybe there's FOMO, and how all these different factors work together. in the not so distant future here. I don't know, Martin, if you have any other thoughts on anything I said there.
Yeah, I have thought about Fractal. Because right now it's very big, but if we cannot afford to stake because we've created so many tokens, so what's gonna happen if I stake, for example, 10% only, and most people stake 10% of their creations? The fractal will not be fueled as much because we will all pay lower stakes, and let's say incentives will not be enough for us to stake another. We will just hold the tokens. So we will earn from the daily pool more tokens, but without fueling the fractal. It's like a situation with Titan X that there will be no extra money in to fuel the buy and burn. I mean, like not like everybody will stop, but what happens when it's a small like small grow of the protocol? So a small amount of people, we cannot afford so many to pay for staking fees. So every day we will have very small amount going into everyday buy and build and fractal. What happens then?
It's a great question. And these are getting into the edge cases too. It's like, well, if this ever happens, we'll see it flesh out fully. However, the way it's designed is that if people stop, like when people stop staking or creating and time goes on without new shares getting added to the pool, the ROIs are going to creep up and up and up and up and up, right? And so simultaneously, if people aren't staking a lot, they're only staking a little bit, and the ROIs are creeping up, the incentive begins to get so large for someone to come in and take up a majority of the share pool, because even think about this, right? If you have to stake, let's say $1,000, and even if, let's say, the cost is $1,000, right? But you're going to get like 14, maybe let's say it's like 5,000% ROI is what is expected, right? Well, let's say it's 10,000, some crazy number, right? If you have to pay $1,000 to get a 15x, someone's going to do that, right? And so when people begin to not stake because the prices are high, the ROI creeps up, forcing people to consider staking again. And at some point, someone will come in and either they'll buy and stake or they'll just stake, and that economic energy goes back into the system. But I guess what you're pointing to is there can definitely be a period of stagnant buy and burn pressure. That can absolutely happen. I don't know exactly how long that would take for that to go dry, but the system is designed to begin to pull in economic energy again at some point or another, right? So it's going to be quite difficult for that scenario to occur. It's an edge case, and I guess it could theoretically happen, but for how long is my question. I don't see. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but I will ask it up front. Are you planning on building something else on Unity so we can have something like automated refueling of buy and burn regardless of new users? You know what I'm referring to those new guys, what they did with their bonds. Like they have basically rewards refueling buy and burn from farms. So can I ask you that if you are planning something like that? So we not only have to rely on incentives for new people, but we have something like more something automated, like rewards from farm. I'm a big farm guy, so I farm my rewards every day. I left one farm for that it's performing very well for me, and I put all those rewards into Unity. And I would like to see something like this that is refueling buy and burn, so I don't rely on users. So we don't have to rely. And it was, of course, on the chats we talked about it, but I'm like curious. will we have something like this on Unity? Because this would be even, this would make me even more bullish.
Yeah, it's a great question. Now, just to address the other protocol you're talking about now, so what do I want to say here? If and when I do have something for you guys, I will let you know, when the time is right and when it's either in the process of being built or it's built. I'm not sure exactly how that'll work. But let's talk about some of the real things with utilizing that sort of protocol per se. There's a few ways that it can be done. One of the ways and the way that it's being done is, a lot of admin keys, a lot of ability to move things around, and there's a lot of failure points. There's also the protocol that you're utilizing needs to be robust enough to be able to sustain, itself in the long term. And if it's going to be something that is going to only put out shorter term yield, shorter term use case, then you need to have mitigations in place to be able to move things around, and those come with admin keys. And so, in order to do something specifically like that, where you can properly mitigate the risk, you need to have something that's robust, and B, in order for it to be with TORUS and UNITY, it needs to be very decentralized, or if someone wants to build it and people want to participate, sure, people can do whatever. But they're also, the risk is that what you're building on has not had enough time to properly be vetted. You have something like PulseX per se, and who knows what could be used from the incentive token or from maybe the stable pool that's there, and what else gets built. But I would just have a word of caution for new protocols that are taking this type of endeavor. How many admin keys are built in, and what is the quality or the state of the infrastructure it's building on? I mean, how stable is the platform? How immutable, how proven, how battle tested is it? And I think that's something just to keep in mind into the future, because if something is built, it needs to have everything like I've just mentioned checked off, bulletproof and robust. It needs to be completely robust, right? So I know it's kind of a weird way of answering it, but I can't say anything more other than, if and when something is built, or is planning on being built, or sorry, is in the process of being built, not planning, but the process of being built, I will definitely let you guys know. Because it is an interesting idea, though. I think it's a great idea to think about how can you build something that creates external revenue to constantly fund its own system. And it's something that I have my eye on, and we'll see. That's all I can say. Sorry.
So I read between the lines that you're working on something. I expect it to be something related with NFTs, because you can have full security with NFTs, and that's what I'm taking from it.
I'm not gonna say anything more or less at this point. I'll let you guys know if and when there's something that needs to be talked about, but I see this.
I have one more question. In your analysis of the ROI, how the staking ROI will look like? Are we entering a period where it will be single-digit ROI daily, or it's this rubber band will push so far that we will expect to see ROI for staking in thousands for, I don't know, maybe second and third cycle?
Sorry, I was trying to find my microphone here. This cycle will probably not, in an extreme case, it's possible for us to go to high single digits on daily ROI for staking, but the overall ROI is on the low end, likely to come down between 300 to 150% ROI within the second cycle-ish. Now that's an estimate. It can go a little bit lower, to the lower end of about 150%, but that's if all tokens are staked that are coming out. And that's around the 10 million token amount. As more tokens come out, that obviously changes. As the staking costs go up, that changes. And, as the burning happens too, that changes things. So there's still, my expectation is that the ROI is still going to be quite high in this second cycle, so to speak, from day one. And it should stay relatively high into the foreseeable future, meaning single digit daily ROIs will still be probably unlikely, I would guess, at this point. Actually, sorry, single. So if you're going 300% divided by 88, you're probably going to get into single digit percent ROIs coming in here for TORUS. Unity will still have quite some time before it gets there, but if you're doing 300% ROI, you're dividing by 88. Yeah, you could see. Wait, what just happened here? Let's go 88, 300. Oh my goodness, my calculator's broken. Divided by 88. Yeah, you could see mid single digit percentages. Sorry, it's more than likely we'll still see high single digit to double digit, but it depends on what people do. But it's very possible to see single digit daily.
Okay, I have this thought because I didn't expect that so many people would like to sell at a loss, and I'm like, okay, cryptographics didn't expect it too, so I'm like overly bullish now because all those people who sell, they will fuel our buy and burn and fuel the fractal even more, because even if you made all those analyses, I'm pretty sure that you also didn't expect that so many people would like to sell at a loss. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can never predict the market. That's the thing, is there's been so many surprises, and that's been one of them, about how the market will decide to interact with and buy, sell these tokens. That's definitely something that I wasn't expecting people to be so willing to do, right off the hop, per se. But it's all part of the learning process. And so, there is so much to be learned, in my position, and watching everything, that even the buy and burn and the buy and build, it's like I have plans, I have ideas and strategies for exactly how I want to use things moving forward. And simultaneously, what I've learned is that, you can't just play a shotgun approach to, I think it's going to go this way and therefore it is, and it's going to be all good. You have to test things. You have to look and try and see what's happening over here and watch how the market responds, and then try something over there and watch how the market responds. And, just trying a shotgun approach and just thinking that is a dangerous way to go about this. So it's been great for me to really understand that systemic design of these systems is still going to be at the mercy of the market and people's decision making to a degree, which is just cool. There's a lot to learn. But yeah, I was definitely a little bit surprised by how willing people have been to just sell and get out because they don't want to play the longer game, even for a second cycle.
Yeah, that made me really bullish because this space is great in making me bullish, because with every thought, with everything you say, I'm like, oh my gosh, so many people will not be able to stake because staking fees will be high. The rubber band will be pushed super extreme because the price will be lower, because more and more people will try to sell at a loss. They will refuel fractal, they will refuel buy and burn. So the second cycle will be actually amazing, because we will shake out all those people, and I expect that I will double my ownership of the shares just because of staking, just like I need to stake all my creations, and this is all I have to do. And for the next 88 days, I'm fine, because most people will leave, and and those who stay, they will like take a huge amount of shares from the second cycle. And after that, of course, the buy and burn, and especially Fractal, which will be huge by the time, I expect, will keep pressure on the Unity, and we will have bull market in 2026, which people will start to buy tokens just to hold them. So they will buy Unity just to hold them in their wallet, and they will not enter the system. There are plenty of people who will not like to enter the system. And so that people, those who are in the system, will get like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I am aiming for 10%, 10% of like total ownership, like share ownership, because I think it is possible for those people who understand the system and who knows how it works, who knows when to sell, when to buy more tokens for more shares, and those who are actually willing to stay inside the system. This space made me very, very bullish.
That's awesome. Oh, love it. I like the way you think. I like the way you think a lot. Max, welcome back.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know I had left, but I like hearing y'all that bullish, most definitely. But the selling part, it's not optimal. The people that are selling, I would assume, are not either didn't read the white paper, or aren't fully understanding the shares and are doing a trader's game. That would be my assumption. Once I understood your shares, my game plan changed, and the selling at a loss is so unoptimal. I changed course again, like I said, and I started buying off the market and staking. That just sounds more optimal. I have a token number in mind that I want to get to, so I'm not really thinking about USD prices right now. They're relatively low. I'm thinking, what is the optimal way to get to my token number in the fastest amount of time at the lowest price?
I think it's brilliant. There's opportunities everywhere. I think that's one of the many ways to look at it that's going to get you way ahead in the future.
Well, you would figure, I know you can't comment on it, but I will just take a base number so it's easy. So I guess, what is it, 125 max at the most there will be. I think that's what it said, right? Something like that.
125 million.
125 million. If you had, say, 1.25 million, you have 1% of all the tokens. Then you could just, I guess eventually you don't really need that. You could sell down as tokens are burned away. You could sell what you needed to always stay at 1% of the pool. You have a lot of tokens, you're just saying. I'm just saying, if you get to the number you want, you just have to maintain that number, and it should be easy. Once you get to that, the system does it itself. Create stake. I don't know. Seems simple to me.
Yeah, and another thing to think about too is that if you have 1% of the tokens, or 0.1%, or whatever the number is, and as tokens are getting burned over time, as staking fees are going up, the likelihood that all the possible tokens that can be staked will be staked are actually going down, which means you owning so much of the supply gives you an advantage, because when others don't have the capacity to get supply or stake supply, you both have supply and the ability to stake the supply if you want to, which means you can own much more of the pool over time the more you hold. It's not just as simple as you hold 1% of the token supply. You're going to probably have 1% of the global share pool as well. You could potentially earn more or hold more of the pool based on burning and how much people are willing to stake as well. Like, your percentage of the pool can actually go up because of how much you're accumulating in just tokens relative to this total supply, where people are willing to stake, and other factors as well.
I feel you on that. I felt like not being too greedy. If you have 1% of the prize pool, that's enough. You can just keep moving as time goes forward. I don't know. There's only 99 other people can have as much as you?
99%, I guess. Well, no, 99. I don't understand what you mean by that. Actually, now that you say
I
that.
mean, if I have 1%, only 99 other people could technically.
I'm not sure I 100% follow that. I think I know what you're saying though. It's like, yeah, if everyone has 1% and there's 100 people, then yeah, 99 people. I think I understand what you're saying. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it quite works quite like that, as far as I'm seeing, but, I think I know what you're going for here.
Yeah, he meant that if everybody owns 1%, there's maximum 100 people that could own entire supply. I think that this will be a case like if this protocol succeeds long term, that like big investors will actually like to buy it, then even if by holding 1 million of shares or even less, those shares will be not shares, those tokens like Unity, the price will be quite high because they will see, okay, I can earn that amount of tokens per day. I can sell within those increments. I can analyze the system about the fractal. I am refueling the system. I am earning. So this is a good passive income, what all those funds are doing now with Ethereum. But this is, of course, much more profitable. So I expect that TORUS and UNITY prices will skyrocket, and those guys will actually pay a lot just to enter the system that will give them money. And on that note, the only thing I am afraid of is that we will not have bear market because I expect a prolonged bull market starting, well, actually right now, and it will go like 10 more years. And within the bull market, it will be hard for Unity to shine because the system would shine so much in bear market. Like everybody will be dropping down, and of course Unity can level up on some price floor, but with bull market I'm like, okay, we will have bull market, plenty of opportunities, so not that many people will come to Unity and TORUS. But maybe if we make it to work, interesting for new people, and we can explain it to them, so maybe we can get many more people.
I think we will. I think it's really just like in the bull market, things are going to get exciting, like you were saying. It's going to be a lot easier to get attention and to actually have people get excited about things. Right now, it's an interesting time in the space because retail is just so disinterested, and it's kind of just one big echo chamber for the most part, and everyone's kind of in their corner of the echo chamber, so to speak. So, I'm looking forward to the bull market. I know you know what you're saying, but I'm really excited for the hype to start up again. For people to be excited about being in this space. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. I'm gonna go to Jag real quick here, and then I'll go to Mr. Cruzy. Welcome, Jag.
Hey, how we doing? I'm out and about today, so I hope the audio's good. But try to keep it real quick, just to put the staking fee into perspective. This is I was looking at it last night, and if you have, I'm gonna just use some examples here. Let's say you've created 100,000 TORUS tokens, which you'll claim on whenever your days comes due, and your staking fee. I put in 100,000 last night, and the staking fee was, I'm gonna just use $5,000 in USD. So here's how I looked at it. If you could buy stock today for $5, hold it for 88 days, the price of the stock never changed, but instead of 1 share, I'm gonna give you 100 shares. Would you do it? And I think 99.9% of people on this call would say yes, I would. Well, that is exactly what you're doing here. Because your estimated earn when I put in the 100,000 was near 4 million, and let's say people come in, you only get 25% of that. Well, Now all of a sudden you've got 1 million tokens and the price never changes. Let's say it's at 11 cents now, 11 cents then. You just made 110 grand. So who wouldn't do that? Everybody would do that. So that's how I had to put in the staking fee. That's how I justified it. So with that, I'm backing off here.
Yeah, it's great commentary, and it's a great point. I mean, to take it even further too, just to add to what you're saying, because I think there's so much relevance to it, is that, if you've got to, if you go and you do the math, you could see with the tokens, there's how many shares are likely to come out over the next, let's say, 88 days from even now, right? And you can see the possible dilution of the pool and what the ROI could potentially go to. And so you could actually calculate, okay, if I have to pay, let's say, 50, 60, 70% fee, relatively, you want to stake $100, got to pay $70, but I'm going to basically turn that $70 fee into maybe 210 extra dollars, or 280 or over 300. Is that $70 worth it? And I mean, I can't answer that, but this is something that's important to think about is, if you're paying like what seems like a large amount to get into a staking pool, it's going to give you 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times what you put in the deposit fee. I mean, that's still something to consider, right? You buy shares in a company, you have to pay a fee to lock up your shares, but you're going to get way more shares than what the fee could have gotten you to begin with. I mean, I'm kind of paying $70 in this case, right? For $100, paying $70 to get, let's say it's 210 or 300 or $400 at these prices, right? If the price goes back up, you paid $70, and now you're potentially sitting on, I don't know, $3,000 or like $800, right?
And if the price never changes, you're still way ahead. So
Exactly.
that's the beauty of the daily pool.
Exactly. That's the point of it, right? Is to use it for that. Just to gain more tokens and let the price appreciate and do its thing over time.
Well, I think the from what I'm seeing, the pushback is the trader mentality, and they're not even thinking about the daily pool. They're thinking about today, and they're not looking down the road. So that's why I like that Amazon analogy that we used last time. So anyway, with that, y'all have a great day. I'm gonna back off here.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Appreciate you coming up again. It's great to speak with you. Mr. Cruzy, what's going on?
How's it going, sir? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man. Good to have you.
So I just wanted to reinforce the idea of accumulating tokens in this first stage, really this first year. If you guys, everyone's worried about the price. There's millions that still have to be created. Logically speaking, the value you see now is based off, what is it now? 60,000 tokens in circulation right now. Last I checked, it was like 50K, whatever. I mean, but point is, the value's gonna dissolve into the more tokens that's created. So my point is, as long as you're staying consistent with participating in the system, and in my opinion, as long as you max out the 88 days, you're going to ride that inflation curve up until the critical point to where you start to stabilize a floor. And then, you can build up from there, and also building your position. So like before, oh boy was saying 125 million is the cap supply, and you want your whale position. That's 1.25 mil the total supply, which not even, because it's being burnt every day. But all you got to do is, if you want to be a shark, get your 125K tokens, and then your position is cemented into the system. You don't have to worry about getting diluted anymore. You can just sell the yield off staking that principal amount of tokens that cements your position in the system. So that, stop looking at the price right now. It's barely 2 months old. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. So just give it time, get your tokens. If you want a shark, get 125,000 and make that your goal, and make sure you keep it there and stake it and just sell off the yield and keep your shark position. And that's just going to grow over time as more tokens are being burnt out of circulation. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Love it. I really do. It's really cool to hear. I mean, for me, it's really cool to hear you guys, not just being excited about TORUS and UNITY, but seeing the vision, seeing the shares, and seeing all the different, mechanics that are incredibly useful and powerful to understand over the future. So it's really great. I mean, like all three of you, and even Max who's up here, it's cool how there can be so many different perspectives and ways of looking at this one thing to all look to the future and see, okay, this is something I want to be a part of. And not only that, but like, coming and hanging out in spaces, being active in the Telegram rooms, like changing profile pictures, posting all the time. I mean, to me, it really makes me appreciate you guys and appreciate, the work that you guys have put in to understand what these things are. And then not only the work, but then to come out and talk about it and come out and hang out in public here and share this info on recorded spaces for others to get a hold of. I mean, I made the thing. You guys are making me bullish when I hear you guys speak about it. I'm already as bullish as I can get. So I thought, and then hearing you guys echo it back to me is really cool. So, I really love hearing your guys' your thoughts, and yeah, thanks for sharing. I don't know if you have anything else anything else anyone wants to add in, but if not, totally cool with wrapping up here about an hour and a half in. And, I think this is a good place unless anyone has any final thoughts. Great. Let's do it. Well, everyone, thank you for being here. For everyone that is listening back to the recording, make sure you share this out. Make sure you tag someone if you think they should come and check it out and get all learned up about TORUS and UNITY. And I thank you all again for being here. It's been a lot of fun to hang out with you guys today, to chat, and expect more spaces, more streams coming soon. We're going to pace ourselves still. We're not going to go too ham, as the market's not exactly prime right now for getting up to speed and educated on new projects, but I want to keep you guys in the loop. I want to keep you guys excited. I want to keep you guys happy. And so, expect a little bit more of a consistent schedule coming up here. So thanks everyone. Enjoy your day, and we will be back together very soon on a space or a stream in the not so distant future. So cheers everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.